Welcome to Once Upon a Sister. I'm Faith.
I'm Rosalie.
And we're your hosts.
I can't believe we're doing this.
I know. This idea, well, she had the idea a little while ago, but it's been like a week and we're here. We're ready to do this thing.
Yeah. Okay, I don't even know how to get started.
So, we'll get better at this, I
Bear
promise.
with us as we start this journey. But to start off this first episode, we thought we would start off with a little bit of introduction about ourselves, and then we're going to get into our reading journeys and how the podcast came to be, as well as just some bookish questions at the end.
Yeah.
So we can tell you all a little bit about our bookish taste.
So, like I said, I'm Faith. We're sisters, if that wasn't already obvious. So I'm the older sister. Yeah, I'm the older sister. And I'm married to my high school sweetheart. I have 4 little boys, and I homeschool them. I am a stay-at-home mom. That's like my whole life. I love coffee. I love reading. And so, yeah, that's me. I have chickens. I don't know.
I know. There's not much.
I've always been like a creative. I do photography. I do videos. Like that's like forever I've been doing that. So this just plays into another aspect of adding on to that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm Rosalie. I feel like there's not much to say. I'm
Is
21. Did you say your age?
No, I'm 26. Sorry.
Okay. And I'm 21. I don't know. I'm a barista, so I work at a coffee shop. My biggest hobby is reading.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm like, what are my hobbies? Reading.
Yeah.
I'm trying to this year at least be a little bit more creative. I've been doing like a book journal. Also, I started finally making content on Instagram. I tried YouTube, but that's a lot. We can get into that later. But yeah, so I do Instagram. We're both creative.
We're both like heavily involved with our church and stuff. So we do like social media team at our church too.
And just serving in our young adults ministry.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not much else to me. I don't know.
I mean, we're together a lot, so I don't know.
One of our biggest hobbies is just talking.
So
clearly,
podcast.
Hence the podcast.
So what was the next question?
Let me double check.
This is fun. I've never had some sort of creative outlet before where I don't have to edit out all the little bits. So I'm kind of excited to just chit chat and I don't have to be so.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Should I say that now or later when we're talking about? Like, I was more excited about the podcast because it allows us to just talk.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about every little thing we're saying, because when I was trying to do YouTube videos, I just struggled because it was so much editing and just like you could film so much and then have all the footage be ruined. And I don't know, it was just a lot. But I wanted to have that longer form of content where I could talk. Anyways, we can get into that later. The next little thing we're going to talk about is how we got into reading, or like our reading journey just throughout our lives. So you can go first.
So I've always loved reading. If we're going to go way back, like I want to say the first book that really captured my attention was like in 3rd grade. My teacher read Among the Hidden to us as a class. If you know those books, they're so good. So that whole story concept, if you haven't read them, it was just so intriguing to me and I loved it. And from there I started just reading. I read a lot. I don't know, like I just, as the years went on, I loved Percy Jackson. That's like probably my all-time favorite. So good. I'm gonna reread it this year. I've been waiting for
I want to too.
It's so good. And then I just loved stuff like everybody, The Hunger Games. Twilight was a huge pivotal thing for me.
Do I ever remember you reading that and mom reading it too?
There was other little series that I read, but like the ones, obviously you remember the ones that like stand out. So I always read. And then once I got into high school, my husband and I started dating like our end of my sophomore year, and I was like, in the love bubble or whatever, so I kind of fizzled out of reading. I would read here and there, but not like the way that I had been. And then like 2 years after that we got married, and then I had my first baby at 19, so I didn't really read anymore. Once I became a mom, I don't know, it kind of consumed my whole life, so I didn't read. And then 3 years ago, I came across this is like everybody's story of how they got back into reading. So I came across a TikTok of It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. And I was like, everybody's raving about it. Let me give it a try. And I was pregnant with my fourth son. And it just, she's not my style anymore. She's okay. She's a good, she's got her stuff.
She got you back into it?
Yeah, she got me back into it. So I'm grateful for that. So I started reading like heavily. I was reading like a book a day when I was pregnant. And then I got into a little bit of a book slump right before I had my son. And then I think I kind of had a little bit of like postpartum stuff with him. So then I just like completely stopped reading for a year. And then she kind of got into reading. So then I got back into it. She was like, just read again. And I was like, okay. And then I have not put down. I've literally read every day since then. So that was a year and a half ago almost.
Yeah. Well, for me, like in elementary school, I would read just like the classic Junie B. Jones, Geronimo Stilton, Magic Treehouse.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
At least that was my childhood. But I didn't really read past like elementary. I remember sitting like my dad bought The Hunger Games and he would read it to me at night. So we read The Hunger Games. Wait, no, not The Hunger Games.
Divergent.
Maze Runner.
Oh, Maze Runner.
The Maze Runner. So we read like I think it was the first book. I don't know if we read the second one, but I feel like that was the last of my reading. And then like my entire middle school, teenage years, I just did not. Like there were so many times that my mom would take me, or our mom, sorry.
Our mom's a big reader, so that's probably
So
the
big.
main reason. We used to go to the library with her, and she would come out with like
huge
stacks. And I'd be like, "How?" And now I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I get it, mom."
But she would take me to like the bookstores and just have me pick up a random book, and I would try, and I just could not. Like I have a distinct memory of one random book that was like just some sort of fiction, like kind of fantasy book, and I tried to read 3 chapters, and I just could not. And I just set it down, and I was like, I don't think reading's for me. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to get back into it. But then I don't even know how. Like, because
what was the first book you read when you started reading?
Well, I can say what it is in a second.
Okay. Sorry, me jumping in. Me 2 times speeding you.
I don't really know. Because I know, like, Book Talk was a big thing. Like, I knew of Book Talk, but I wasn't really on it. And I feel like I didn't get any videos of it.
Yeah.
But... okay, wait, I'm kind of remembering. So The Summer I Turned Pretty came out.
Oh, that's right.
And I wanted to, like, I went to the bookstore with I think it was Rachel, her sister-in-law, and I just grabbed the first book and I read it, and somehow I was able to read it, and I was like, what is this? Like, why can't I read a book? And then I didn't read for like 2 months. Like, I just randomly had read that. And then the new year started in 2023, and I was like, well, I want to try to read this year, so... I went to the library. I set up a library card because I know, like, you can do Libby. And I was like, I feel like reading on my phone will be way easier than reading a book.
Yeah.
And then I, like, set up a Goodreads right away, and I made my goal 12 books for that year. Because I was like, okay, I can just do 1 book a month. Like, that's so much, but, like, I'll do it. And then the first book I picked up was The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood, which is like a classic. I don't know. I feel like Book Talk.
Everybody's read that.
But I didn't even see. I don't know. I just had seen it, so I picked it up, and I read it in one night on my bed, and I was like, I can read. And then I just like kept on going from there, and I literally haven't skipped a day of reading since.
No, that's crazy. No.
But then we went so I started reading the beginning of 2023. And we didn't even start talking about books together.
Well, you didn't tell anyone you started reading.
I had kind of told Mom, but, like, I don't know. I wasn't really talking about it much.
That's funny because you started reading right when I tapered off after I had Herschel.
But the thing was, when you were reading, you didn't tell anyone either. Like, I didn't really...
Well, I did because I asked for a Kindle for Mother's Day.
I didn't... You asked them. You asked your other family.
Oh, I don't know, but I thought you guys saw me with my Kindle.
So I saw when you got your Kindle, I saw it, and I was like, oh. But I just didn't even realize how much you were reading.
Yeah, I was reading all the time. Reading all the time.
No. So then, like, I read the whole... Well, I guess I started reading in, like, February of 2023, like, the end. So I read that whole rest of the year. And I don't even remember how we started talking about books. Like, it just randomly came up in conversation at the end of 2023.
Yeah, I've been trying to remember, too, like, what sparked the conversation for us because... I don't know. Like, I feel like it just came up. Maybe it was when we saw Where the Crawdads Sing.
When did that come out?
No, because that was when I...
No.
Because I say that because my reading slump happened because I read that book from my mom, and because my mom liked it and she wanted to see the movie, and
You could
I
not.
just, like I said, I don't care about the stinking marsh. Like, oh my gosh, it killed me, dude. But I don't know, I liked the end of the book, like this, like I feel like the second half, but the first half was like, if I
feel
had
like
to see one more description of what you found in that marsh girl, I can't say marsh without
Marsh girl.
Marsh girl.
I feel like it was just the timing, like you were about to
I
give
was
birth.
also like, there was a lot going on, gonna give birth, like with my fourth, and so I don't know. I just
sent you a year long.
I just slumped out, and then I picked back up with the Twisted series, which I didn't like, but then I started reading ACOTAR, and
that's what, like, I don't really remember how. It probably just came up because maybe I feel like I brought it up, me reading a book or something, and then we kind of talked about how Faith was reading before, but she wasn't really anymore, and then...
Because I feel like the topic of you getting why don't you get a Kindle? You're reading on your phone came up, and then I was like, I have a Kindle, and you're like, you do, and then it kind of probably went from there. But
and then I said, like, I don't think I need a Kindle. I probably wouldn't buy it unless it got gifted to me. And then I got it for Christmas, and I haven't stopped.
Everybody, the Kindle is life changing.
But so I think we just started talking about it.
Yeah,
and so
that was like
Saturday,
December of 2023.
Yeah, every Saturday I sleep over at Faith's house. I don't know why I'm saying your name. Like, I feel like because I have to let the viewers know. And we would just like watch movies something. Or shows or something, but then that turned into us.
Because we started reading ACOTAR at the very beginning, like first week of January 2024, so a year ago.
We started reading that together.
And then we were like, I don't know, after we would put my kids to bed, we're like, oh, let's go ahead and watch our show or whatever. But then we were both like, I just want to read my book. Yeah. And so then I was like, why don't we just sit here and read? And so then we did. And now that's what we do every Saturday. We sit down and read.
Yeah, so it started with ACOTAR, and that's like why you might hear us talk about it a lot because
we love.
And it was like what started our, like, obviously we were reading before that, but it's like what started us talking about books.
Yeah, and also it was her first fantasy.
Yeah,
and it also kind of like I always loved fantasy. That was like my favorite. So I didn't really know that like
that existed.
That existed past like books for 12-year-olds. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that goes into our next one was like why
we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Which is kind of me because I, like, for a while now I've been listening because I watch YouTube and I'll watch booktubers, and Destiny Sidwell and Sarah Crowley, they have a podcast named Bookmarked. So that got me into like book podcasts, and it was fun because like I don't know, I just love books, so it's like any form of content I can consume about books is like what I want to do. And then that led to me listening to the What She's Reading podcast, which I love them.
And I already had been like following them too, which we didn't know that we were both.
Yeah, and Faith doesn't really listen to the episodes, but I
listen to them here and there, but yeah, I mostly
she's got a lot going
follow
on.
them all on TikTok and Instagram.
And then I would listen to them, and one day I was just listening to it at work, which doesn't even matter. I was just listening to it, and I was like, what if we started a book podcast? Because like we spend we
talk about books
much of our time. I walk in the door and like we're immediately talking about whatever
we're texting
book
about our books. Like
we are always talking about books.
Like to the point where when I told my oldest we were gonna do a podcast, and it's like a video where you just talk, or it's like where you talk to people, have conversations. Rosie's like, what do you think we're gonna talk about? He's like, your books. He knew.
No, I asked him and he immediately knew. But so that made me think, I was like, we could totally do a podcast, and I feel like it'd be fun. Like, I don't know, it's just, and also it's us together, so
because we're already sitting here talking about books, let's just record it.
And like, I don't know, so I like introduced the idea to Faith, but
I was a little I don't know, I just felt like nervous about it, so I was like, oh, I don't know, and
which is okay. But then
last week we were
literally last Saturday, so it's only Friday right now.
It's
been
Friday.
6 days. I was like, okay, can you film this TikTok with me? And we were gonna do like guessing each other's like some bookish things, like questions. And we sit down, we start filming it, and we just start talking. Especially like, you. Like,
I was just chatting it up, and I was like, oh.
It was just a simple question, and then she would go on these little tangents. I was like,
I know the way you were looking at me. I was like, okay, we can do a podcast. But then it was like,
so you were like, oh, so we sat down and started editing it, and I don't even know who, like, how, which one of us was like, okay, let's do it.
me, because you were the one that
Okay.
introduced the idea. So I was like, okay, let's just do this.
And then
so
we just went
literally within.
And we like, she immediately set up the
I
Instagram.
immediately took the Instagram. Like
I got the email.
we created
got
the
the
TikTok.
TikTok,
We
we
created
made-
Spotify.
I made the YouTube. Like,
started making a logo. Like it
we
was
just started
all
going,
within the next couple
and then we
hours.
didn't even read that night, which is like,
Yeah.
we read every Saturday, but we spent
Yeah.
that whole time just like going insane.
crazy with our ideas. And so we like immediately the next day we set up with our friend to help us get the photos. Like
Yeah.
we've
Because as soon as she said, like, I have been thinking about it. So as soon as she said yes, I was like, okay, well, let's do it. And then we were trying to come up with a name. So we used ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. I was putting in there like,
But I was like, I want sister in there because we're
Yeah.
sisters. Like, that's a big part of, like, it, I feel like.
Yeah,
like,
like,
we're sisters
the fact
talking
that
about
we're
these.
sisters talking about books. But I just literally was like searching up like keywords like sisters, reading podcast name, fantasy, ACOTAR. Like I was trying to come up with like
A Court of, what did
Yeah,
it say? A Court
one
of
of the-
Thorns and Sisters?
yeah, one of them was like A Court of Thorns and Sisters, but that didn't hit for
Yeah.
us. But then Once Upon a Sister was on there and we were like,
Like, she hit search and that it popped
It
up.
was, like,
We
the
read it at the
fourth-
same time. We were like, that one.
yeah, it was like the fourth
Yeah.
thing I had searched, and then we were just scrolling looking, and we both at the same time, like we didn't even say out loud which one we were reading. We both go
And
it
we
was,
like knew what it was.
I don't know. And then our
Just
mom, we told our
so
mom, and
cute.
she's going crazy for it. She's like, it's so good. I don't know. It's just fun. Like when you just have something that you creatives know, like you just get something and you just get the idea, and you
And
just
it's just
wanna,
like when it clicks perfectly, like all the names we were looking at, like at first we were considering like literary sisters,
sisters.
but it just didn't feel right.
yeah. And
but,
it was
like,
also someone had that
yeah.
account name already taken.
But Once Upon a Sister, I don't know. It
Yeah.
just it sounds
It's perfect.
We also wanted to find something that would be cute, like if we ever make merch, but like that's a way
so
later
far
down
off,
the
but
line.
yeah, so that was our thought of like something
Yeah.
that just sounded, but something that's like
catchy, cute.
where you hear it and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
that was what.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's why we're making a podcast. We love to talk about books
Mhm.
a lot. So
And that was the other thing about like we were filming that video and I was editing it and I was like, I'm having to cut out so much conversation because obviously I'm posting it on TikTok
yeah, you
and
gotta
Instagram,
trim it down.
and you have to condense it so you just can't leave all your ramblings in there. And it's kind of the same way with YouTube. Like you have to be selective about what you put and you can't just leave like the authentic raw conversation to, I don't know, you can, but not to like its fullest extent.
And that's the other thing that like I don't make long form content just because
Yeah.
I really don't even have the time. I used to do YouTube when I was like in middle school and high school, but I feel like it's a great opportunity for people to like actually get to know you a little bit, because when you get to see people's quirks and their mannerisms when they talk and like have unfiltered conversation, that's where like the personality really gets to show and you like actually get to see who somebody is. Even though we're going to be talking mostly about books, but still, like, I don't know, I just feel like it's like
the other thing is like we both love the book community. Like this, like if I'm not reading a book, I'm thinking about a book. If I'm not thinking about it, I'm scrolling on Goodreads. I'm on TikTok. Like I am just always doing something.
yeah, like
And,
books
like,
are
And to just be able
Yeah.
to start this podcast and like build up a community of people who read the way we do and just
that's
like
what
enjoy
like she
it.
had said something. I texted her because she posted a video and like within minutes people were commenting agreeing about what we were talking about with books, and I'm like, what is it? Like Rose, like people just, the thing is like books is such a personal hobby because it's something you're doing by yourself.
Yeah.
And so we just want connection. We just want to talk about it.
Mhm.
And like every time I see somebody in the store, like the other day I was at Walmart and I saw someone holding Assassin's Blade and I was like, girl, like I just started talking to her, and then her friend, like we were all just talking about books, and I'm like, it's so fun. Just that little interaction. We just love it. And so I'm like,
And this is perfect.
I just want to connect with people. Like we have some friends who read and stuff, but we like read. So it's like sometimes I'm like, I know that some people obviously on Book Talk and stuff just read the way we read, and so I just wanted to interact with with those people. Like
Yeah.
So that's that. That's why we're here. What was the next question?
I got a little bit lost there. Okay. We didn't.
Oh, bookish questions. We didn't finish writing this down.
We didn't finish
Well,
writing.
yeah.
We
Basically,
can ask a couple.
we wanted
just-
to basically just kind of give you an insight of who, like, what kind of books you like and stuff. So
what kind of readers we are.
What kind of readers we are. So what's your favorite genre?
I don't know. It's hard for me because I'm very split between romance and fantasy. And it also just depends on the mood I'm in. Like right now I'm in a fantasy mood and I'm just wanting to read fantasies. Mm-hmm. But like a month ago I was loving romances. So I don't know. Yeah. It's pretty split for me.
And I am a romantasy girly through and through. And it's so funny because when I got back into my reading journey, and I think this is why I slumped out a little bit, is because I was only reading romances, just like your classic. Like I was reading things that I did enjoy, but it wasn't...
When you don't have anything else to go along with it.
Yeah, so I was reading romances, and I'm talking about books like I said, I started with The Hating Game. Like The Hating Game, and like... I can't even think of something.
Like The Unhoneymooners.
The Honeymooners, like and like The Love Hypothesis. And like those are all books that I enjoyed, but I didn't like...
Once you find like a genre you love.
So then I kind of slumped out, and then we read ACOTAR. And that was like for me. Because all of my favorite series when I was a kid was like Narnia, Percy Jackson, Hunger Games. I know that's not technically...
But
fantasy,
it's like dystopian. Type of like dystopian, so not real.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I always talk about like, man, I love those series because they take me
out of the world.
And that, I know some people actually, that's the reason they don't like fantasy. That's the reason I love fantasy, because I'm like, it pulls me out of the world. It's not real, and it's so like,
you just get to
it's so unreal that it like captures my mind.
Yeah,
and it's like a whole different world. And so once I read ACOTAR, I was like, oh, they have this for adults. And
which was so funny because like as soon as I started reading, I knew that was a genre.
I was on Book Talk, but I was fully on romance Book Talk. I was never introduced to any fantasy books, which I don't understand now. It's fully my For You page, but once I figured that out, it changed my reading. Like I love fantasy. So I wanted to say something else.
Let's talk about our favorite genre. You love romantasy.
Oh, I still do like romance books, but romantasy is like where it's at for me. And I also just did start reading a little bit of thrillers, which is, I feel like it's interesting for me. But the thing I was going to say, the thing I don't love about romantasy or romance books is like
miscommunication.
Miscommunication. That's always what it is like the problem for them is like a miscommunication, or I've said this before, but like, oh my gosh, we're up for the same promotion. Like, how are we going to survive this? Whereas romantasy is like, it's war, it's death. Like, they have to save the world.
Like, it's funny though, because like the romance books I read now I feel like the ones we first read were so like office romances. Like,
yeah. Well, then also like a lot of them are like anymore. The ones I've read recently always end up being like, oh, the person has anxiety, and like that's okay. I understand that that's. Some people like to read about someone having anxiety, but I'm
you
like,
don't want to read about
sometimes it depresses me a little bit. So I'm like, I don't want to read about this. I want to read about something that's not real.
But that's what's nice about like different genres, because like when you like fantasy, you can take a break and read romance. And now we both just started reading thrillers, so we have those.
Are like my palate cleansers. Like I read romantasy, and then when I'm like, because the thing about them is they're always super long series. If I need a little break.
But sometimes romance books can be so like, at least the ones I want to read are so long.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing is I always have to find short
I love
ones.
Like, I don't know, contemporary romance. I don't know.
But so that's like, I read them as my like little palate cleansers, and so, but they just never hit the same way as but if they're a good like enemies to lovers, it'll still always be good for me. Like, because that's is that the next question?
What?
Like, what's our favorite tropes?
No, we only wrote 2 questions.
Okay, well, what's your favorite trope?
Okay.
I don't think you have one, do you?
I feel like I don't have a favorite trope, but I love.
She loves.
This is such a like controversy. Like, people hate this trope, and I know you don't hate it, but you don't like look for it. I love like a single parent trope. I will hunt those books down.
I don't love that. It's so depressing to me. I don't know if it's because I am a parent, and I'm like, the thought of like a broken family just breaks my heart.
I just love it because I get to see like I don't know, you get to see one of them be a parent to a child, which is already like
I do get
and
that.
heartwarming. And then you get to see the other parent fall in love with the child, like love the person so much that they also want to take care of a child and have a relationship. Also, kids just add a fun, for me, they add a fun little element to the story that if you write them, some authors don't know what kids are like.
Oh my gosh, they're 5 years old.
She just gave birth and she's opening her eyes and smiling. that baby is not conscious right now. Like, that baby does not know
smiling
what's going
at
on.
you. Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine is Enemies to Lovers.
I feel like I love it. I just
Through and through.
Yeah.
And I think about it and I'm like, it's so obvious. Like, Percy Jackson, enemies to lovers. Like, they couldn't stand or she couldn't stand him, at least at first. And then, like, same, like, it's always been the case for me. I don't know. I just love it. And I laugh because my husband and I did not get along at first. So, like, that's probably why.
No, I was thinking about, like, because a lot of people do, like, oh, what's your trope with your significant other? I'm like, oh, we could do that. I don't have a significant other.
Me and I have like a million different tropes, like high school sweetheart with like
over just a single gal trope.
One day we'll do it.
Anyways, yeah. Next we have like, what are some of our favorite books? Which
I feel like
ACOTAR.
Yeah,
ACOTAR's like
ACOTAR's top tier for
top
me.
series for me. I struggle with like specific favorite books, but like I love ACOTAR.
Love Fourth Wing. I know this is gonna be. You know what? These are popular for a reason.
Yeah.
So don't hate.
If you don't like it, you don't like it. But like
things are at my shelf.
Things are
Fourth
hyped
Wing,
for a reason.
Yeah. Fourth Wing, and then I love Powerless by Lauren Roberts, which the last one's coming out in a couple weeks, and I'm so excited.
Also, Assistant to the Villain.
Yes. We love those. I read it first. I read Assistant to the Villain, and I was like begging her to read it. I kept saying like, because it's like so fun and quirky. Like I don't even know. It sounds interesting because like it's a villain, but it's like lighthearted. It's so fun, and I was like, read it. And she was like, I will. And then like I had fully read the second one. She still hadn't read it, and then she finally read it, and she was like, oh.
But the thing about like Mood and Faith too, like I'm a mood reader, so I'm like, if I'm not in the mood for it, and that's not to say I don't think I'm gonna like it. It's just if I'm not specifically in the mood right now, I'm not gonna read it. Like I'm gonna read what I'm in the mood for, and that's like why I don't set a TBR because I'm like, what? I can't choose the books I'm gonna read. It just comes.
I didn't realize people did that. Like I just started getting like, this is my March TBR.
Yeah.
For stuff that they're gonna read that month. I'm like, I sort of do that.
Like in my head, I'll be like, oh, I think I'm gonna. I want to read this next,
but I don't like set it out. I'm gonna read this. Like, no, I have had books on my want to read list for like years that I haven't.
No, yeah,
I'll get
I have like holds on Libby that I've just kept putting back because I want to read it, but not right now. But no, my favorite series, like ACOTAR, is top fantasy for me. Since I love romance, Addicted series. Like I just love the found family in that, and like I don't know, getting to follow. I don't know, it's. Some people don't like it because it's like at least the main couple is together in the first book and then they are for the next 10, but it's like I just like enjoy getting to follow their life. To me it's like I don't know, I'm just watching their life unfold. It's fun. I love that series so much. And then I also just love Powerless, Assistant to the Villain, and some romances. I love why can I never remember the name?
People We Meet on Vacation.
No, well yeah, but I think it's called Today. No, that's not it.
Yeah,
See You Yesterday, which is I think it's by like Rachel Lynn Solomon. It's so good. It's like I feel like if you like 7 Year Slip, read that one. I love 7 Year Slip too. I haven't read this so one, good. I want to. But it's it's a Groundhog Day type like magical realism trope, and it's fantasy. No, it's not fantasy. It's romance. But it's just really cute and like heartwarming, and also I don't know, just the emotion in it. I also love. I don't know. There's so many. I feel like I need to sit down and write out more, but I love a lot of books. That's the thing about us is you're gonna see a lot of high ratings because
we are not haters. All right, we are here for a good time. So many people like analyze the books, tear apart every little thing, and I'm like, you know what? Did I enjoy myself while I was reading this? Yes, I did. If I didn't, all right.
I love the characters,
but like I'm generally like I'm here for a good time. Like I'm enjoying what I'm reading. I'm not like, well, this and this and this. Like, no, I just enjoy reading. I don't know. And that's the thing is I think just finding the books you like. I don't know why people have to tear apart books. Just like, I'm like, you can say you say that like people with Iron Flame, they're like, oh, I love Fourth Wing, but Iron Flame was blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it was good. What are you talking about? It was good. I fully enjoyed myself.
Also, like, I just think people like I was listening to an episode of What She's Reading, and they were talking about people set their expectations so high.
No, they think they're going to have their life changed. They come up
with their own theories for stuff, and I'm like, that can be fun, but when you are so dead set on that, you get upset by the book because what you thought
Yeah.
was going to happen doesn't. So you set
Like-
your expectations so high. Also for me, like Powerless, the second book, Reckless, I loved it because I just like to spend time with characters.
People
like
get
the same
mad
with
like,
the
oh,
Addicted.
nothing was built. I'm like,
I don't
we
need
got to see their relationship
Yeah.
get built. I love, like, sometimes when you're in the midst of a war, it's like a little chill book, like Frost and Starlight. I'm like, why do you
Yeah.
hate this? I love the little, like,
I
oh, we
love
get
like
to
a
enjoy
little
themselves in
character
this book,
driven
like,
story. It doesn't need to be some insane plot all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how we are.
Anyways, we could ask more questions, but we could save that for later. We kind of want to give you like a little bit of insight on what to expect from the podcast, what to expect from us, and yeah.
So I don't even know we really came up with an answer for this, but we really just want to chat with y'all. Like, we just want to talk about books. We're constantly reading, so we are constantly going to have things to
There's
talk
always
about.
new things to talk about, new books.
Just different episodes where we'll probably talk about the current series that we're reading or talk about different things that we kind of already touched on this episode.
And we want to also do just little fun games. Like, we have some ideas, but like guessing books from their one-star, like guessing some of our favorite books from their one-star reviews and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
I also want to do like stuff involving our community, like when we have it, like asking you guys things and then involving that in the episodes.
We want to do like she said, involving, like we want to start a little book club, so you'll be able to find us on Fable. We started our own little book club on there. We want to do like a book of the month. And on there they have, like, if you don't have Fable, they have the ability to like discuss the book as you're reading it, so you can, like, each chapter you read unlocks like chapter 1, and you can click on that and see people's notes. So like it's something that we can kind of do together. And
if you don't have the app, you don't have to, but we'll announce what book we're reading, and then we'll, at the end of the month, beginning of the next, we'll do an episode on it. So it's obviously going to be spoiler, but
so
read the book if you want to.
We'll always give a little warning of what we're going to discuss. Like, you'll see it, so that way you don't watch the episode if you haven't read the book yet. But we love reading. We want to talk about it. We want to just talk about what it means to us and what it looks like for us. Like, I'll touch on this a little bit right now, but like, we are Christian, so we skip spice scenes, and that's, I know, controversial for some people, but we believe that if you can skip it in a TV show, you can skip it in a book. So that's what we do. And we want to enjoy like the books. If the book has an actual plot and that's separate, like, we just skip past it. And so we read a lot of books that do end up having those in it, but we just skip past, and that's something that it's just part of reading. Like, I don't think it's any different than anybody that watches.
It's part of being a Christian and being careful with what you're
taking in.
Doing. So also, I think that's it on like
what to expect.
Other than that,
we'll be posting videos too, like little clippy clips from
so you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. But like on TikTok and Instagram, we're probably going to be posting like little fun
videos. We've already kind of started doing that on our personal pages. So
which you can also follow us on our personal pages, just to kind of get like more insight on us personally besides the podcast. We do more than just books, but I can't remember my specific handle, but it'll be linked somewhere.
It's Rosalie May, but May has 3 A's. And then mine's Faith Elizabeth, but Elizabeth has 3 T's. People take our names and then we can't use them. Okay.
So we're going to be on, like, at least for the podcast itself, we'll be posting it on Spotify, YouTube, if you want to watch it visually, because a lot of people like to do that. I think we're going to figure out if we can do Apple and Amazon as well. But
we'll figure all that out. But
we'll let you know.
For like regular updates, you can follow our Instagram.
Our Instagram. It's going to be fun.
We're very excited.
We're so excited.
We were like bouncing off the walls. Like, I redid this like on my little frame so we can have a little spot to sit. Like, we've just
like
been
every day this week, and it's not even been a full week. We've just been texting about it, like finding everything we need, like
getting the mics. Like, these were actually super affordable, by the way. Like, we've just been like doing all the research, figuring out how to get everything set up. Like,
we've been really excited. Like, I didn't want to take a super long time to actually start, because it's like, once you're excited and you have the momentum, like, just go. Like, do it. And why would we wait a long time when we can start doing this?
I've been talking so long.
Anyways, is there anything else?
I don't think so. Did we write anything else down?
No.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to Once Upon a Sister.
We'll see you next week.